3 years ago and not notifying that quarterback only puts more light onto the situation. I don't think Dak Prescott needed this move to go and try and play his best football, but it certainly elevates the moment for him in this year.
Harry, how big a deal is all this to you?
Well, I think it's a big deal because when you look at Jerry Jones not notifying the head coach, that's what makes it a big deal. Now, if he notifies the head coach and lets him know that, hey, we're going to bring in Trey Lance, now that head coach can talk to Dak Prescott and let Dak Prescott know what's going on. I think when you look at Jerry Jones, and I think the writing is basically on the wall, when you look at where he is with Mike McCarthy and not letting him know moving forward, and you have Dan Quinn as the defensive coordinator just sitting there waiting in the wings for an opportunity, I think we all know where Mike McCarthy's stand, and that's, on the hot seat. So he has to win this season. Now, as far as Dak Prescott, this is how I feel about this situation. My father told me this a long time ago. You don't ever worry about another man and what they got going on. You handle your business, and when you believe in what you are capable of doing, if you go out there and play the ball that you're supposed to play, everything else would take care of itself. Now, I do believe that when you look at a guy like Trey Lance, Dak Prescott shouldn't be worried about Trey Lance coming in. This is a guy that couldn't beat out Brock Purdy.
Right.
He couldn't beat out Sam Darnold, and he couldn't beat out Brandon Allen. So why in the hell would Dak Prescott be sitting over there with the Dallas Cowboys worried about this move that Jerry Jones made?
So there's a lot of different ways to slice that up. I'll give it back to Orlovsky and that face in a minute. But I've cleared the decks for Kmart, who we've not had here all week. And if I know you, you've been talking to everyone around the league as they've been reacting to this. What sorts of things have you been hearing?
Well, mostly surprise, obviously. Mostly people, though, were giving credit to Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch for actually saying, you know what, we made a mistake, let's move on. Because a lot of times we see in the NFL, people just are afraid to say, yeah, we messed up there. I will say, though, with the Jerry aspect, here's the thing. Jerry's going to do what he's going to do. People around the league know that. Like, if you don't know that you're the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones is going to make whatever move, sign whoever he wants to sign, trade whoever he wants to trade for, like, then you don't know what you're doing. Because Jerry Jones, he doesn't need to inform Mike McCarthy. Jerry's never been that guy. Jerry has always been the guy who's going to do what he wants to do. But I think for Dak, 3 things are true. The spotlight on him, even brighter. Number 2, Jerry clearly is thinking about the future. Because this is a move he didn't need to make necessarily. This doesn't help them this season. So what is the point of the move? Well, Jerry's already thinking, well, you know what? We're really high on this guy coming out of the draft. Maybe not a first-round pick, but we were pretty high on him. If he has time to develop, could I have found the next guy? How long will Dak be there? And then also Dak's contract. Earlier in the offseason, everyone was talking, the Dallas Cowboys were talking about, oh yeah, that's on our list of to-dos. Sign Dak to a contract extension. That still has not happened. He's got a $59 million salary cap hit for next year. So all of these things, the league high 15 interceptions last year, Dak coming in like the headlines will not say that I'm throwing interceptions next season. All the attention, this is a team that's going to win the Super Bowl, everybody hopes. But it's not a move they needed to make, but the fact that they did shows that Jerry, he's already thinking beyond just this season.
And to all the people at the Cowboys organization who keep trying to send the message to me, oh, we're going to get a new deal done with Dak. Just let me know when it happens. I just keep hearing about the deal that's going to get done with Dak. Let me know when it happens, because candidly, it never seems to. Danny, go.
All right, first of all, Harry, I love you. Can we put a little bit of respect on Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold? Just a little bit. I know he couldn't beat him out, but that doesn't mean that they're bad players. A little bit. All right, so Dak Prescott, 3 out of the last 4 games in the playoffs they've lost, okay? In those 3 losses, which I believe are to the Rams a couple years ago and then San Francisco twice, they averaged 17 points a game. We unequivocally believe that Dallas is a Super Bowl contender, right? Everybody on this desk, most people that are in this profession believe that they're a Super Bowl contender, that they have won 12 games in back-to-back seasons. The Dallas Cowboys are not going to turn this football team over next year to Trey Lance. They're not. Trey Lance is so much of an unknown, and they are not going to be a bad enough football team this year to be drafting high. So this goes back to the real reason of why acquiring Trey Lance. What does that do for your football team that Jerry has said multiple times, I'm not getting any younger. I got to go chase this Lombardi trophy. The acquisition of Trey Lance, it has not. If this motivates Dak Prescott, then everything we've heard about Dak Prescott is a lie, and I don't think it is. Everything we've heard about his character is a lie, and I don't think it is. The move makes sense, given what you have at quarterback right now and what he's coming off of last year. If you want to protect yourself for the future, great. Everything comes down to this. Jerry Jones, if you want Dak Prescott to be the very best version of himself, the best season, 2016 was great. 2021 was really good. If you want to have him have his best season ever, you don't do this move without telling him. And I'm not moving off that. I felt this way on Monday. I felt this way on Tuesday. I feel this way on Wednesday. If you really wanted to have him have his best season, you don't do this without telling him.
I push back on that.
Go, push back, Harry. Go
because
push.
of the season that Dak Prescott had last year, he should be motivated to have his best season, period, anyway. Dan, I don't think this move should be altering the mindset of Dak Prescott. Like,
totally agree.
If in 12 games you throw 15 interceptions, your mindset that next year should be it's go time. I gotta do my job.
Agree.
And then if you also ball out the way you're supposed to, and in the biggest moments you show up and show out as the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, everything else gonna handle itself anyway.
The first 2 games of the year, Harry, they play the Giants and the Jets. Yep. I think 2 defenses that are going to be really good. Living in a world, hypothetically, I know it's assumption, but let's say they struggle. Dak struggles and they start 0-2. You're now taking all of the conversation in Dallas, and they are all going to have to answer about Trey Lance. Mm-hmm. Are you thinking about a quarterback move? Is Trey Lance going to get any reps? That will happen. Unquestionably is going to happen. Instead of sitting there going, you're a back-to-back 12-win team. What do you got to do to get it fixed? Week 3, you're playing the Arizona Cardinals. That's my whole point of this when it comes to not the lack of communication with the quarterback. If you had told Dak Prescott or Mike McCarthy you were doing this, Dak Prescott is going to sit there and go, yeah, he told me it makes sense for our football team. I got to go play my best football. That's it. That's it. And it's point, instead of having to answer with question marks of like, yeah, I didn't know. That's all that is attached to this, Harry.
All right, let's deal in all the things that are actually going on. Mm-hmm. Dak Prescott's contract alone put all the pressure in the world on him. He's playing for his future in Dallas this season, regardless of who his backups are. Trey Lance, to say that he has been a failure would be completely unfair to him. He's a kid who never got on the field to play, and when he came in, everyone said he needs all the work in the world. He played infinitely less in college at a lower level than Anthony Richardson did. If Anthony Richardson in 2 years is not setting the world on fire, we will not say he has no chance to be a good player. Trey Lance absolutely could be a good player, but the only way he will ever maximize any value for the Cowboys is if they play him. There is no reason to acquire him if you do not at least think in the back of your mind, there's a chance he's my quarterback.
To Dan's point, why the move makes sense and Dak shouldn't be worried about Trey Lance, that's true. But then the flip side of that is, why is he here? You didn't need him. You really didn't need him. You had Will Grier, a guy who was in your QB room already that everybody liked and could still be a suitable third stringer. So it's obvious about the future. They think that they might. This is a bet, a future bet that Jerry's making. Like, he might actually turn into something. But he needs to develop behind the scenes and actually get work in, which is the reason he never got on the field in San Francisco. They just had other quarterbacks.
You were a receiver. Yeah. You weren't even one of the people he's playing with. And I'm mad at you now for not having stood up and done everything that Aaron wants. That's the Aaron Rodgers I'm talking about. Again, I'm not privy to this stuff on a normal basis. I watch Hard Knocks like everybody else. What is that a normal training camp moment, or could that be described as Aaron getting really mad?
No, that's normal. I played with a veteran quarterback and, Matt Ryan. And when it comes to precision in the pass game, because when a quarterback throws with anticipation, if you're supposed to be 12 to 14 yards on a route, you need to be 12 to 14 yards on the damn route.
Right.
You can't be 10, you can't be 16, because the ball is coming out.
Right.
And your mishaps may be an interception, and now the media is talking about Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And it's his fault when actual reality is the tight end of the wide receiver.
Dan, very happy with this answer. Dan,
yes.
very happy.
Dan, go. What do we hear there? Just take, because candidly, again, I just keep rewinding that part over and over and over again. Take me through it.
Harry's dead on. Here's the thing, Greeny. The ball leaves my hands, and while it might be intended for you, still responsible for it in people's eyes. And so I gotta, and this goes back to Randall Cobb, like I gotta trust that you're supposed to be there. It's also this, Greeny, the standard is the standard. The expectation is the expectation. It's plain and simple. If you're not the guy that's gonna be where he's supposed to be, or where I expect him to be when the ball comes out of my hands, give me someone else. And this is from me, let alone one of the greatest of all time, Aaron Rodgers. And I think, this is one of those things, and Harry knows this. This is one of those things when you bring in, and I was around this with Peyton Manning, and I was around this with Matthew Stafford. When you have guys like this that are the best of the best of the best, we're talking there's 3 or 4 people on planet Earth like these guys when it comes to this position. The level gets elevated, and the expectation gets elevated 24/7, 365. It is a way of life for these guys. And everybody that is going to be on the field has to meet that level and expectation and standard. And if you're not, you will not be on the field. And I think one of the things that's unique about watching what's going on in New York, Greeny, is, and this is a little bit, it reminds me candidly of Sean McVay. It's not only that Aaron is elevating all that, he's also empowering guys to get there. And I think that is one of those really unique situations. That's why getting him, you can't quantify the value.
That is gold.
That
is gold.
It really is a magnificent analogy, however.
Greeny, I was
love
watching
Marcus.
the show yesterday. I was in the middle of working out, watching the show yesterday. I've got like a 70-pound kettlebell, like holding it up here, squatting, and he does that ridiculous analogy about his wife. I almost dropped it on my face laughing so hard because of the way he talked about it.
Was that a subtle brag there? Was that
I know. I'm like, Dan, you trying to tell, Dan.
Kettlebell?
You're not slick.
I feel
a
like you have
70-pound
to
weight
slip
there.
that in. The weight of the kettlebell was not necessary.
Well, we know he haven't been doing no damn shoulder workouts.
Okay.
Like my shoulders are bigger
Hold on,
today.
Harry. Harry with that cute colored jacket on.
So this has turned into that. Okay, but all kidding aside, I mean, that really is what it is. When Marcus said that, it kind of reverberated. Let me turn to my psych major over here, my beloved Kmart. There is something to that.
I'm trying to keep things in perspective because perspective tells you Dak Prescott should look at Trey, give him a pound, and be like, hey, what's up? Happy to meet you, brother, and go about his business. Because that guy shouldn't be good enough right now to take my job. But here's where, here's what gets me. They didn't need to make this trade. Daniel, you said there's no way that Trey Lance could be the quarterback next year of the Dallas Cowboys. Here's what we don't know. If next year, we don't know if Dak Prescott or Mike McCarthy will be with the Cowboys next year. We don't know 100% because depending on how this season goes, that could have a huge effect on next offseason, right? And I just feel like with Dak's contract, with him not getting a contract extension, every step of the way when I want the Cowboys to like effusively praise Dak and show him like, you're the guy, we love you, the way that I hear the Bills talk about Josh Allen and the Bengals talk about Joe Burrow, like it just feels a little more tepid. It's like the guy that's like, that's my lady, she's cool, whatever.
Right.
As opposed to, yo, that is my baby. That's my heart. Like it's a different feel, and it when you start making moves and not informing people, that's a problem. Like Marcus's analogy of bringing home another woman that's a little extreme, but you get the point.
Anyway.
You get the point because you don't make important moves. You don't make any moves without telling somebody. We saw what it did to Green Bay. That after all we saw in Green Bay,
right?
Jerry, all you had to do was just shoot Dak a text if he even has a flip phone. I don't know.
Right.
Just shoot him a text.
What do you think of it, Harry?
My thing is that all this can be negated if Dak Prescott just goes out there and balls out.
Right.
All of it can be negated. So I understand what everyone is saying, but if Dak goes out there and handles his business, we're not talking about potentially him not being in Dallas next year. If he handles his business the way he's supposed to, when the moments arise in the playoffs, if he's that dude that puts the Dallas Cowboys in a position to make an NFC championship game and potentially go to a Super Bowl, Dak Prescott's going to be the quarterback, and he's going to get that money.
That's exactly right. But do you know who didn't make that trade last weekend? Do you know who didn't trade a 4th-round pick for a potential future quarterback?
Who didn't
Cincinnati didn't. Buffalo didn't. The Chargers didn't. All these other teams that have quarterbacks that they believe are their future. Dak is not that much older than those guys are. The Cowboys are keeping alive their options because they want to the point that you just made, Kmart. They've never, ever behaved as though they were 100% in love
Just show
with
me
Dak.
some love. Like,
They
let
are
me know
deeply
I'm
in
the
like.
one. Just let me know.
They like Dak a lot, as well they should, but I've never been convinced they love him. Dan, go.
Well, and that's the point that everyone continues to make the lateral comparison to Green Bay, Greeny, and I understand why on the surface level that why people are doing it. But Aaron was 10 years older or 8 years older than Dak Prescott is right now, and Aaron was, quote unquote, at least in Green Bay's eyes, showing signs of declining in his 14th or 15th seasons. Dak Prescott's going into year 9 in the NFL. He should be, just ascending into his prime. And Harry, like, this is where I would push back a little bit because you say, well, Dak Prescott can make this all irrelevant point if he goes and balls. And I'm not soft, and I don't think Dak Prescott is soft. But when does enough become enough for a guy? You 3 years ago, you made me drag my feet through the contract extensions when I feel I outperformed it. I was a 4th-round pick and the tag. And so at some point, there's that reminder that I was a little bit disrespected during that process. And now this is another one. And while at some point a guy sits there and goes, I've done everything above and beyond that you've asked me to when it comes to where you drafted me. And I don't know if Dak Prescott balling out is going to erase this for him. Like at some point, he's going to have to sit there and go like, you're going to treat me outside of the finances the way that some of the other organizations treat their guys when it comes to respect and power. And if not, maybe there is a little bit of a hurt feelings that are going to be a part of the conversation. I don't think Dak Prescott balling totally erases this situation.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.